one. So my next guest, Keith Cormican. Keith Cormican is internationally recognised as a fitness and wellbeing expert. He specialises in extreme weight loss. He's also graced British and American health and fitness magazines, websites, TV, radio, and is appearing as a fitness model and expert nutrition writer. So welcome, Keith.
Thank you very much. What a nice introduction.
So after all of that, tell us more about yourself.
Well, you've basically, in a nutshell there, I've been in the health and fitness and wellness industry for a good while now, for about, I guess, about 10 years since I did the cover of Men's Health, which was 10 years ago, and it's just like one thing led to another after that. And I'm loving it. I'm actually loving helping people now, rather than focusing on myself, and I'm much more interested in helping other people achieve their goals and their aspirations. So
So you actually started with the Men's Health?
Yeah, well, I did. I started off as an actor back in the day, back in the late 90s, and we used to go on different castings for many different jobs. And one of the castings was for a Men's Health feature shoot for martial artists, because I was into martial arts at the time. And they said, we like your look, we like your just your general appearance, because they weren't after any big bulky guys. They just wanted some guy with a six-pack. And I went on the casting, as I said. It was an Irish edition of Men's Health, and I got the gig. And then, amazing. As I said, one thing led to another from there. People seemed to ask me, how did you get the six-pack? How did you actually achieve your goals? And I found that much more interesting than actually acting. So I focused 100% on helping other people achieve what I've achieved, and I did my degrees. I did my nutrition degrees, and I focused the whole new business on nutrition and fitness and wellness. And as I say, I wouldn't look back now. I'd never go back into acting now. I just I love what I do, and I live and breathe every day. So it's good.
So what got you into it originally?
Into actual health and fitness?
Yeah.
Well,
obviously you must have been in shape then to get the magazine deal as an actor.
I guess I was. I mean, I've always loved sport as a kid. I used to really enjoy playing sport, but I was never really gifted. There was always better kids than me at school, but I just loved the sport. I loved always being active and that kind of thing. So, and I guess it would be a lot better if I came from a family where they were always into health and fitness and always really passionate about what they're doing, but I wasn't. I mean, I came from a generation of diabetes, high blood pressure, and all my family had heart problems and all this kind of thing. But I used that as kind of a catalyst to actually move on and try and be something better than what I'd been surrounded by. And I just wanted to get out of that kind of
lifestyle. Yeah,
that kind of a lifestyle, and I wanted to achieve more for myself. So I focused 100% on my own health, and I don't know. I just it's just something I do. It's not. I don't have to become motivated about doing it. It's just you get up, you wash your teeth, you focus on your health and fitness, and you take it from there, and you help other people, and you move on. So it's
meant to be.
Yeah, it's meant.
So have you ever had a weight issue yourself?
No, I wouldn't say so. I was a tubby teenager, but then I think most kids go through that stage of having the puppy fat on them. Recently I've lost a lot of weight though, simply because I had a condition earlier this year. I got diagnosed with skin cancer because I was too much time in the sun. Simply is that not enough time on the sunbed and too much time actually under the sun. And because I'm very fair skinned and fair haired, they say it's a malignant melanoma. So I was in hospital for about 4 months, lost a hell of a lot of weight, and it makes you appreciate every smallest little thing about life that you've actually got, because they said there's a 50% chance you actually surviving through this. So I focused 100% on my health back again, but I'm regaining the weight back on now. So if you're asking me if I've ever had any health issues or weight issues, only in the last year, pretty much, and that's it.
Okay, because you do lots of extreme weight loss programs and you help people with obesity. And I was checking out your website and it says you do a lot of work with Scope as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a couple of years ago. Scope approached me because they saw some of the transformations that I've achieved with my clients, and I like to focus on the obese. I like to focus on the people that are going to make the biggest change over the space of a year, not just like a 6-month transformation or a 12-week or a 10-week transformation. These are the people that they have to change because their life depends on it.
Yeah.
And that's more rewarding to me. It's more rewarding to them as well, because and it's really is simple. All they've got to do is introduce the right kind of a lifestyle and the right mindset, introduce the right foods into their diet, and they do make dramatic changes. But then Scope approached me to work with them on some of their programs as well, and just take a look at the website. Some of the transformations have been pretty amazing. They've actually surprised me as opposed to the actual people themselves. They're just wow. they're ready for it. And as I say, I love it. I really do. I love when people come back to me and say thank you so much. It's much more rewarding than someone giving you millions of pounds for it or something, you know. So. And
do you remember if there's anybody who's lost like a significant amount of weight? Can you tell us like what they weighed before and after?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to like give any people's names out because they might not. I haven't asked them if they wanted to be broadcast live on air. But yeah, some people have like been into like heavy 20 stone kind of really heavy people, but not just that, they've had the medical conditions to go with it. So even if it wasn't like the weight issue that they had, it was the fact that they were on their last legs if they didn't change. And then to be able to actually, I've got some guys actually running marathons now, so compared to what they were, and I don't run marathons but they do, and you know, and I know you run marathons.
I have done before,
and you know how hard that is, right? Even if you're walking a marathon, I think that's tough.
It's a long way.
Yeah, it's a hell of a long way, but it just shows you that they found their reason why they want to change, as opposed to wanting to look good for a certain date or a certain event. You know, it's something deeper than that, and it goes a lot further than that. So
talking of motivation, obviously you mentioned people who are obese often have like GPs referring them to exercise, and they have like something quite scary that forces them into it, and that's you know, motivation in itself. So I know that you do a lot of work with life coaching as well, and that's the mindset side of things.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, first of all, you say GP send you to like an exercise. It's a GP telling you to exercise is like that. I won't even go there. I won't even start that, because some of the GPs that are telling you to exercise, they could listen to their own advice a lot of the time. But saying that, motivation is the mindset is a big part of it. It's not, you've got to find your reason why. As I said, it's not necessarily until you find your reason why you want to do something, you're not going to do it. If it's the carrot and the stick kind of thing, I could either beat you into saying, look, you've got to lift 2 more reps, you've got to do this 2 more times, but they've really got to want to do it. And so if you change the person's mindset in the initial stages, it's going to be so much easier for them. And like the difference between a life coach and just like a personal trainer is that you are there for them 24/7, because there are going to be those times I could be with someone for about an hour a day exercising with them, but there's another 23 hours in the day where they could destroy all that by what they're putting into their body. It really is down to nutrition a lot of the time, and there's going to be those weak moments late at night when they're going to be starting craving the sugar snacks, and that's when I'm there. Like as I said, I'm there 24/7, so if they want to call on me at those sort of times, if I'm awake or if I'm not in the gym or if I'm not somewhere else, I will answer them and I will try and get back to them and help them, support them through it, because a lot of it is very emotional. You know, food is fuel at the end of the day, but people don't use it for fuel. They use it as a comfort. They use it as a blanket.
It's not like it's all or nothing with cigarettes. You don't need them.
No, you don't need them.
Food, you have to have it every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Several times a day.
Yeah, food is the most widely abused drug around the world. I think that's one of the common traits, and everyone knows it. But
it is hard, and it changes your mood set as well, doesn't it? So if you're eating the wrong foods, you're going to feel rubbish.
Yeah, and the worse you feel, the more crap you're going to crave, or you're going to actually go for those kind of high sugar, quick instant fix and give you an immediate high, and then it's going to have an energy crash later in the day, and it's a vicious circle. But you can break that if you just, maybe after about 2 weeks of creating new habits that you can incorporate into your lifestyle, it makes a massive difference. And it does take effort. I'm not going to say it's easy, and the initial stages aren't easy, but after you've done it for about 2 weeks, it does become a lot easier.
And would you say it's that initial 2 weeks sort of getting rid of the sugar in your body?
Yeah,
rid of those cravings?
It is kind of a sugar detox. Yeah, you do have to. I'm not saying get rid of all carbohydrates either. I'm not like one of these guys that says, go completely carb free, because there are certain carbohydrates that are good and there are certain that are bad. Just go for the low glycemic carbohydrates that are going to keep your energy levels stable throughout the day. don't be scared of carbohydrates. You know, there's a big misconception around nowadays where you've got to cut out all carbs to be fit and healthy. It's like there was a low fat epidemic years ago where everyone was cutting out all fats thinking that was going to be healthy, and they soon realized that it's not a way to live for the rest of your life. You know, you can't do that, and it's not really good for you. So just choose the right sources and and you can learn that. It's not hard.
So talking about carbohydrates and energy highs and lows, that moves me on to my next questions about carb cycling, and I know you wrote an article about this. So for anybody who's listening and wants to know what carb cycling is and how it works, can you explain to us?
Yes, indeed. I've written articles and I've actually got plans on my website all based around carbohydrate cycling, because that is one method that I would recommend, and it does actually work. Because what you do is, if you cut your carbohydrates, you're going to lose weight if you cut your carbohydrates out. But after a while, the body is going to like fight back, and it's going to say, it's going to, if you're depriving the body of any certain macronutrient, over time it's not going to work. It's just going to bounce back, and it's going to start eating away at your muscle as opposed to your body fat. So if you do it for a short amount of time, so say for example, if you do it for a week, say you've got an event or a fitness show coming up at the weekend, on that Monday you cut your carbohydrates through Monday through to Friday. You just cut it reduce it very minimally, maybe by 30 grams a day. Then on the Saturday and Sunday, you bump up the carbohydrates, you increase it with the high GI carbohydrates, and what that does is it will fill the muscles without actually gaining body fat. If you do it for those 2 days, it kind of tricks the body into holding onto the muscle. It fills the muscles with glycogen, and it's a lot more. They
look fuller on stage.
Yeah, it's a lot more complex than that, but I'm just trying to explain it in the basic terms for like 2 minutes. And you can do that for a week, and it will create the illusion of fuller muscles but reduced body fat. There's also the whole manipulation you do with the water intake and your salt intake, but that's all, as I said, that's all in my articles and on the website as well. But it works, and a lot of the bodybuilders or fitness professionals will do that in the last week. And as I said, there's more complex ways of doing it, but that is a really basic way of doing it, and it's easy as well. If you want to do it every week, I wouldn't recommend doing it every week, but if you've got an event or a holiday coming up and you want to look in your best possible shape, losing weight but without actually losing muscle tone and that kind of thing, I would highly recommend it. And it's a healthy way of doing it as well, because you're actually still getting all the macronutrients in, but just at it's kind of precision eating as opposed to willy-nilly. And you can analyse it depending on what your calorie intake requirements are, and work around that.
So for example, I've got a show coming up in 4 weeks.
Good for you.
Should I be starting to carb cycle now?
In 4 weeks?
Leave it till the last week?
Yeah, if you're sensible and you're like a proper professional, you would do it like in advance. You would do it a good 4 weeks. I would give 12 weeks. I mean, it's not 12 weeks now, but I would establish yourself for 4 weeks first, giving yourself a baseline where you're reducing your carbohydrates, not taking them out altogether, but just reducing them so it doesn't create too much of a shock for the body. Then the next 4 weeks, cut them again, even more so. So you're taking it down 30 grams per, like say 30 grams each day or something, just very, very minimally. And then on the final 4 weeks, then you carb cycle. But you really do carb cycle. So on the weekends when you do carb up, you go for all those high GI carbs. Like you go for the jam, you go for the bagels, the rice cakes, the white rice, all the things you maybe have been craving that you've been depriving yourself of.
Okay, so would that be what we would call a refeed?
Yeah, a refeed, yeah. And you do it also for someone like yourself at your level, you would have to watch the water intake as well. Flush yourself out with water for the days where it's going to be actually low carbohydrate, and then when it's the high carbs, you cut your water intake. And there's a whole manipulation with salt as well, but that's as I said.
So it sounds quite complicated.
It does, but it really isn't.
The average person, would they need to be carb cycling in order to lose weight?
No, not at all. Not in order to lose weight. I mean, anyone can lose weight. Cut an arm off, you're going to lose weight. But I'm saying if you're going to do it and you want to be healthy, you do it in a healthy way. It works. I mean, it really does work because you're still getting the high protein. In general, I would stick to a high protein diet and moderate carbohydrates, moderate fats, but choose the right sources. Still go. I'll tell you what. Anyone.
Can you give us some tips on the right sources of carbohydrates?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you know yourself. It's good Oatmeal is perfect. It's one of the things that I actually personally crave every day. I have it twice a day.
I do as well. I hate it when I can't have oats.
I like to take my time with it though. That's the only thing. I like it post workout, and I know that because it's a low GI carbohydrate, it's more suited to other times of the day, not after a workout. You want the high GI carbs then, but I still have it after a workout. But one tip, if you actually overcook it, or you cook it for a little bit longer, it raises the GI content of the carbohydrates. So any carbohydrates that you cook, if you cook it in the oven for a lot longer than what is required, the same thing with rice, the actual sugar content in there will go up.
Okay, that's interesting.
So post-workout, it's actually ideal. And yeah, so oats is one of the
So if you had them soaked overnight cold, that would be the lowest GI.
Yeah, it would be. I mean,
so
that's
perfect for the morning.
Perfect for the morning, absolutely. But then again, in the morning, you want to raise your blood sugar levels because you've been fasting overnight. You've been sleeping. That's why your breakfast is so important.
So you could add some sliced banana.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, add some fruit to it, and that's the high GI. Other than that, if you want the slow releasing low GI carbs, go for your sweet potatoes. A great source. You can go for wholemeal rice. Anything. I mean, it's pretty simple. The choices are simple. Just don't go for anything refined, anything that's packaged, that's been sitting on the shelf for about 20 years. You don't want to be going for something like that. Another tip: if you're going around the supermarket, shop from the outside in.
That's all the fresh food.
Yeah, where all the stuff that's going to go off pretty soon. Then focus on the inside, which is all the packaged cereals and all that stuff that's on the inside. Don't
so get everything healthy first. A bit like what I said earlier about the kids, get them eating all the healthy food first, so then they get full on that, and if there is any room left, they can have something as a treat. But if they have it the other way around, they won't have any room for the healthy food.
I had that conversation with my sister yesterday because she's trying to get her kid to eat healthily, and I said, we'll start off base it with protein first, because everything that my kid is having, she's having sugar even if it's healthy sugar, it's still sugar. I give her some healthy fruit now and then. So that's great, it's great, but it's still sugar. What's your protein with that? She might have that afterwards, but don't have it afterwards, have it first, and then if you've got room for the others afterwards,
because protein's actually really filling, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, you go to any restaurant, the most expensive option on any meal is the protein, because the carbohydrates are cheap and easy to come by, and you get so much of it. If you go for a pasta meal at an Italian restaurant, how much meat or fish do you actually get? You get maybe a couple of flakes or something, and it's a big bowl of pasta, and it's not great. Certainly it's not, but it's just, all it is knowledge, and once you actually know where to start your meal from and work from there,
So we've talked about carb cycling, carbohydrates. What about low-fat diets?
I really don't believe in low fat. I think that fats are essential for the body. They're essential for the brain, especially for us when we get over the age of 30. We use a lot of our energy for actually brain power as opposed to physical energy, and the brain depends on these healthy fats, like the omega-3 fatty acids that's found in nuts, salmon, healthy fats. I'm not talking about going for the saturated fats or anything like that. Also, like coconut oil is full of fat, but it's one of the best sources of, and it's becoming really popular now as well. Everyone's using coconut oil on their skin and their hair.
Yeah.
But I really do not believe in low-fat diets. You're going to feel deprived of energy. You're going to start craving those sugars that you're supposed to be cutting out. If you're going for a low-fat diet, it will fill you up and it will keep you satisfied until the next meal, and it will keep you going. Snack on nuts if you're not allergic to nuts, of course. And it's a perfect. You said earlier on, it's a good snack to snack on throughout the day.
Yeah, and I actually found in my diet when I had a week of quite low calories, and so obviously fats have really high calories. So
they do,
cutting the fats down.
Yeah, that's another thing I don't
miserable.
believe in. Yeah, don't count calories.
Feeling depressed.
Yeah, you do. You get depressed,
and it really does change your mood, doesn't it? Increase my fats, and I felt immediately better.
And your skin will appear better. Your hair, everything, the whole appearance. Like we've been led to believe that a low-fat diet, or that fat equals fat on the body. Fat does not equal. They should call fat something else, because they say if you eat fat you get fat. You do not. It's not. They should call it some completely different name, and then people will start realizing that. And calories as well. That's another thing. I really don't believe in counting calories. Count portion sizes maybe, and small frequent meals throughout the day. And that's another tip. Like, just don't go from one meal to another. Even if you're not a fitness competitor or a bodybuilder, you should be having like 5 small meals a day. I'm not talking about big sit-down meals where you're going to be asleep an hour after, but it keeps the body...
Would you say that's the secret then, keeping your metabolism up and eating small, regular meals?
Yeah, in general. I mean, I have a day off. I always say to my clients, have a Sunday off, or have a weekend so-called treat, and then you're going to see how crap you feel the next day, and you want to go back to the way you've been eating. But allow yourself those treats. Like, don't deprive yourself of anything, but just use it at the times when maybe you're going out for a social occasion or something like that, and you want to go for a dessert, and that will actually...
You need to live your life as well, don't you? And if you don't have a shoot or a show coming up, you need to be able to...
Of course you do, and have a drink if you like your alcohol. Do that, but don't do it every day. Do it as a treat for yourself every now and then, and it will also actually boost the metabolism, because it'll give the body a shock. If you deprive your body, it's a bit like carb cycling. You're cutting all the time. Bump it up every now and then. Shock the body. Wake it up.
So how do you eat? How do you stay fit?
I mean, I make it a lifestyle for myself. I'm up at 4 a.m. every day, and I'm on the bike.
Earlier than me.
Well, only because it fits into my day. A lot of my day is dealing with other people and clients, and then rarely up before 5:30 anyway. So if I can get my cardio in before breakfast, it's dark outside, I'm on the bike, I'm on the road bike, but it's actually quiet on the roads at that time as well. So I get up at that time.
To be out on the road.
It is, yeah. The thing is, I'm half asleep when I'm doing it, but I have the
coffee. A bit dangerous.
Yeah, I have the coffee before I go, but black coffee. That's another tip. If you want to tap into your fat burning, go for a strong caffeine kick. Not talking about a big slap up latte or a cappuccino. Just a strong black coffee before you do your cardio in the morning, and you don't have to do it for long. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but make it intense. Make it hard, intense. HIIT training. You're probably a good fan of those at that as well. 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy, 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy, and get it done. Get back, have a good healthy breakfast. We all know what a healthy breakfast is. I won't go in there. Then another 3 hours later, after you've done your stuff for those 3 hours, have another meal, and again another 3 hours later, have another meal. But I'm not talking about big meal. Stagger your calories.
So as you get up at 4, then you've probably got...
it's lunchtime. It's lunchtime at 9 o'clock for me. But then that's good. As I said, I don't really have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I don't recommend to my clients that they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I recommend them having their meals.
And people, I try to give this advice as well. And people say to me, "Oh, well, I sit at my desk and I'm not really allowed a lunch break." And I think, well, you could make food that doesn't smell, like it's not hot food, and you can sort of eat that under the desk.
Of course you can. Snacks. And not only that, if you were a smoker, don't tell me you're not allowed lunch breaks. Okay, you're not allowed lunch breaks. You're allowed a cigarette break if you're a smoker. You're allowed out.
That's very true.
So, and you're allowed toilet breaks. Now, for the time it takes you to go out for a toilet break, you can get a healthy snack in there. It takes 5 minutes, and you're looking after your body and you're looking after your brain at the same time. And if someone tells you can't actually go out for a break to get a small meal, then you're in the wrong job and you want to be looking for something else. I'm sorry, but there's no two ways about it. Your life's too short to be dictated to by someone that tells you what you can and can't do, what you can't put into your system. It's up to you. It's entirely up to the person themselves. So.
And talking of food, you have a TV show called Fit Happens.
Yes.
And I watched the first series, and you made some food, and you talked about nutrition on there as well. Tell me more about this show.
Yeah, well, the first series was kind of like a learning experience. The second one we've been recommissioned because the first one was pretty popular, which I'm really pleased about. And we've got a new show that's been recommissioned, which comes out in spring of next year, and it really just educates people into the health and fitness lifestyle and making fitness fun and making fitness part of their daily lifestyle, as opposed to having to do it for a professional standpoint. And we have a new presenter on the next show as well, so I don't know how much I can say about that, but it's going to be a little bit more spark to the show, as opposed to just two old men sitting on a couch and demonstrating a lot of exercises. So it's going to be a lot bigger, better, and we're doing some travelling with this one as well. So we've got some locations in California. We just got back from California now, and we did some shooting, some big interviews. And yeah, it's going to be really good. It's a 6-part series this time, as opposed to the 4-part series the last time. Myself and a guy called Christopher Ember,
He's coming on air soon with us as well.
Yeah, indeed he is, and he's a really inspirational guy as well. He was a big fat guy who lost a lot of weight because he was told he had to, and he's changed his body and he's made fitness part of his lifestyle now, and he would never look back either. And it's going to be a really big show, but we start filming properly, I believe, in end of this year.
So what else have you got coming up?
Well, the TV show, that's going to be a big part of the next year. It's going to take up quite a bit of time. And other than that, I've got all my clients that I've had to deal with because they built up big time over the last year, because one thing leads to another, and the more publicity you get from some of the transformations that's been made, more people will actually want to approach you. So that takes up a hell of a lot of my time.
So you do specialise in body transformations?
Yeah, that's what I do. I mean, and I actually write articles as well. I've got a Canadian publication that I write a lot of articles for, and I've got my book out, I've got my recipe book out, and I've got so many different things. I need sleep. That's one thing I deprive myself of is sleep.
Yeah, you certainly need sleep. It's part of your healthy lifestyle.
I know. I tell other people
I tell myself that as well.
Yeah, how much sleep do you get?
I wake up about 4:30, 5:30.
All right, and what time do you go to bed?
My brain just works overtime. I'm always creative and thinking ideas.
That's a good way to be, though.
It doesn't stop.
It's a really good way. But because a lot of my...
Always keep paper and pen by your bed.
Yes.
And then you can just sort of wake up and write that idea down and try and go back to sleep.
And what I find is if you actually write it down, you sleep.
Ones.
Yeah, you sleep a lot better than afterwards as well, because it's not on your head. You think, I've got that down, I can sleep now. Otherwise, you're trying to remember it for the next day. Yeah, that's a really good tip. But
so do you want to tell us about your website, and then people can find out what else you're up to and follow you if they're interested?
Surely. Let me see. Yeah, my website is keithcormican.com, and all of my plans and my writing, my recipe book everything is on there, and the carb cycling, more details about the carb cycling is on there as well. I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook, Cormican Health Revolution on Facebook, or just find me Keith Cormican, and Twitter is Cormican Fitness.
And we've tweeted you this afternoon as well, so if anybody wants to go into that tag, then they can find your Twitter account. Before we finish the interview, will you leave us with some positivity and tell us your favourite quote?
I'll tell you a story about how they catch fish in the ocean. You may have heard this story. Fish, a very, very special fish, the crabs in the ocean. It's a very easy way to catch them. What the fisherman will do is he will put a cage into the ocean with no seal on the top of the cage, but there'll just be a little bit of food in the bottom of the cage. One crab will see that there's food in the cage. He will go in and he will eat the food. Another crab will see that there's a crab in the cage. There must be something else good in there. He'll go in and eat the remainder of the food. Another crab will see the other crabs in there, and eventually the cage will become full with crabs. If one of those crabs tries to claw its way out and get out of the cage, which they could do at any time because there's no seal on the top, the other crabs will claw them back in and say, "We're in this cage. What are you doing? We're all in here. You can't get out of this cage. We're all in here together." And eventually they will kill that crab to prevent him from getting out of the cage. All the fisherman has got to do at the end is just haul the cage up, and he's got a full cage of crabs there. Now, my point being, human beings are very much like that as well. You're going to become clawed back into the cage, and they're going to drag you back into it. So don't surround yourself by negative thinkers in the world. Surround yourself by like-minded, positive people with a good attitude that's going to help you to not become one of those crabs. If you want to get out of that cage at any time, you get out. Don't be led into the misconception of believing that you can't be something that you want to be.
Be a fish out of water.
Yeah, so I go around telling that story. Do you know how to catch crabs? And people actually look at me a bit funny, but there's a moral to that story, and that I could come up with others, but I know we're pushed for time, so I won't go there. But yeah, just be yourself and do your own thing.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So that was a lovely interview. Thank you, Keith, for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
Nice one to finish on. So now we're back to Andrew and the local news and what's on.
91.8 Hayes FM.